Okay, this is Richard Hobbs, and I'm going to go right on, and you'll figure this out. If you're really interested, you'll figure it out. Perhaps later on I'll be able to straighten it out. You will see on one of the previous videos on this channel this list of foods. You can print it. We'll find a way to get it to you easier to print. And this all pertains to that, and that pertains to this. The American diet is not safe. It's not safe. It's a dangerous diet. And even if you come in a nursing home like this St. Joseph's nursing home that I'm in, the food they give you is not the food that you need to have to heal, because it's the same food that we've been eating that's causing us to die and to get sick and have the diseases that bring us here. And I will go real quick through it. Look, the first thing is every time you eat a meal, you need a little bit of pineapple. This is pineapple. That's good. And a little bit of papaya. You don't need this much pineapple. About 2 of those pieces every meal would be enough. It wouldn't hurt to have more. And papaya. Fresh. It can have to be fresh. It could be dry. Papaya and pineapple you need in your diet every meal. If you have it every meal, you won't get heartburn like a lot of Americans get around between 40 and 45 years old. And we'll explain that on another video or as we go along. But this is cream of wheat. Cream of wheat is okay if you can get it. Read the ingredients on the box. If it has orthoferrous phosphate in it as the source of iron, it's kind of okay to eat, although you really shouldn't eat any wheat, because wheat is a poisonous plant. I mean, wheat is a grain that every human being is allergic to, always have been, always will be. And this wheat that we get in this country that made America great is a wheat that came from Russia. Wheat was very difficult to grow in the world. If you read the Bible and it talks about grains, you think it's talking about corn, and you think it's talking about wheat, and it isn't. It's most likely talking about a grain called teff, T-E-F-F. The Ethiopians grow it and use it. That's a seed that grows a plant. Every grain is a seed that grows a plant. And every seed, read on that document, has phytic acid in it. And phytic acid is something natural put in the food to make it dangerous for you to eat. Not dangerous is the wrong word. There's 4 key minerals you need in your diet to be healthy. I can't list them here correctly for certain, but they're probably calcium, copper, magnesium, and zinc. Those might be the 4 of them, but we can check it up on a document. And you need those to grow, and that's in most of the meat that you would eat if you had real good meat, according to the sheet we have. But if you eat anything that has phytic acid in it, which is all the seeds, and you don't either, first of all, you shouldn't eat seeds at all or anything that comes from any grain, because it's all harmful to you. Corn you're allergic to. Corn is a food that the corn that we eat is called maize. And the word corn means this little tiny thing the size of a piece of corn or barley, or that's talking about its size. And the Bible has barley. Maybe I'm not right, because I'm not exactly certain, but most likely the barley, the corn and the grains in the Bible is talking about barley, talking about teff, talking about other grains that we don't even really know today much of. There were big wheats grown in Egypt, but I don't think the rest of the Middle East in the biblical times had that. It may have, and I can be wrong, but look, this is what I can't eat. This is my breakfast that they gave me here. I fight with them to try and get a breakfast that will help me, but they don't understand what they're doing. The dietitians in America have been taught incorrect information, or they know the correct information and they ignore it. And the correct information is like this. It's on the sheet. You have to have, for every 2 portions of sodium, if you have 2 micrograms of sodium, you need 47 micrograms of potassium. If you have 20 sodium, you need 470 potassium. If you have 200 sodium, you need 4,700 potassium. And you have to keep those in balance, apparently at that ratio, if that's correct. I got that off the internet. Internet can be wrong sometimes because people can type things in wrong. There's all various opinions. But in the ninth grade, we learned in the biology class that about the potassium-sodium pump that's in every cellular wall in our body, and how it is very busy all day long trying to keep the potassium-sodium balance inside the cell wall and outside the well wall in a certain way. And if we don't have a 2 sodium to 47 balance of those things, we will eventually, that will kill us. And let's see. I have a sodium low diet, which is bad for me because I don't need people to give me food already prepared, especially when they don't understand what they're doing, and then give it to me. There might be some potassium in the pineapple, but that's something I'm forced to say. There might be some in the prunes. I don't know. There's probably some. The yogurt, I don't know, there have some, but I can't use the yogurt because it's a dairy product, and so is the lactate. And really, they're both pasteurized, unless this yogurt is cultured. If it's just cultured and not pasteurized, I might eat it. I might like to eat it. But if you eat pasteurized milk, you run into a problem that was explained by Pottinger and Price, Weston A. Price Foundation and Pottinger. You can read his books, and I think I mentioned it on the sheet that's accompanying this. There's eggs. The problem with eggs is that we feed seeds, grain, to our chickens, and that has phytic acid in it. And so all of our chickens that we have in the United States are poisoned by phytic acid. Well, how are they poisoned? Well, now maybe we're wrong about this, but a chicken is supposed to produce about 1 egg about every, maybe I'll say 3 eggs a month or 2 eggs a month, if I understand that correct. And I could be incorrect about that. But we can find out if I am by talking to farmers and older farmers. And you'll see the only thing a chicken is supposed to eat is grass, green, rapidly growing green grass, and bugs. That's all they should eat. They shouldn't eat anything else. They should never eat a seed. The reason they feed seeds to the chickens is because if they feed them right seeds, and they'll call them organic seeds and make you think that's better, then they'll get an egg a day or more, or rapid, a lot of eggs. And they want eggs because they can sell them and make money. But the problem is, once you put phytic acid in the chicken, I don't know the exact details. I'm going to assume it's coming from the phytic acid. But you've created a chicken that is over-sexy. It's all of a sudden, supposing a woman had a period every day instead of once a month. It's along that lines, I think, maybe. And so we're eating these eggs, and they're loaded with phytic acid. Or they're coming from a poisoned chicken, and they are poisoned. I know they are, because a few times in my life I was able to get eggs that had not been fed grain. They had only been fed grass and bugs, and those chickens laid eggs, but they were completely different than the eggs you can buy in the store. And I've gone all over and tried to buy eggs that were not grain fed, that were only grass and bug fed, and I couldn't find them. $8 a dozen, they're still being fed grains. And chickens should be raised in Mexico, eggs should be raised in Mexico. If I could find a way to do it, I could get a group of people together, poor people, and they could raise chickens and eggs in Mexico. And they would not have to buy any grain to feed them. All they need is a lot of land and a certain way to raise them where they protect them from any kind of animal eating them, foxes and birds and things. And there's a way to do it. It's sort of like an upside down milk carton, very large, much larger, but that shape made of metal. And so the chickens can run around on the grass, and you connect many of these together, and you put a place in there for them to roost with a little shade, and you build this up. You put one chicken in each unit, and you have it cover half an acre of land of grass, and every day you take a tractor and move it a short ways, and every day the chickens can get fresh grass and they can get bugs. And if you go to the mob herding that's written about on the sheet and you do it that way, that's the best way to do it. But you don't have to feed anything to a chicken. It'll eat grass, it'll eat bugs, and it'll give you the most beautiful eggs like you never saw. Now, the French toast is terrible. Now, I love French toast, but I shouldn't eat it all because it's always made with a bread that comes from wheat. And this, they used to make it here in the hospital. They were making it the way French toast is made, and they baked it, they fried it. They didn't deep fry it in oil, which is how they're making this. I don't know if this comes in already this way or they cut it up this way, but it's probably faster for them to do this that way. So the company that makes the food for the hospital, which is a separate company than the nursing home, I mean, they hire a company to give them food, and they pay them a lot of money, and I'm not getting my money's worth. I don't want to eat that kind of French toast. Now, if I would eat for breakfast a bowl of teff grain that I had treated to remove the phytic acid and rinsed, and then I would make that. I would make a large amount of it. Why? Because it has a very high amount of magnesium in it, and we need magnesium in our diet. Most of us who are having heart trouble, and we all are having it first because of the high blood pressure, and then because of a lack of magnesium in our diet. The high blood pressure and sodium and potassium needs to be in balance, and all these other minerals need to be in balance in you. Now, I've been asking for sugar frosted flakes and raisin bran. Because sugar frosted flakes is worst thing I should possibly eat, but trying to have this food given to me 3 times a day that I can eat barely most of it, and then either sitting here and not eating anything and having things, I would love to eat all this stuff, but it's going to kill me. It is killing me. I can't eat this food and have my blood pressure go down to normal. So what they want to do, the doctors and the nursing homes and the medical industry, is feed you the diet we eat that gives us these diseases by keeping us in a wrong balance of potassium and sodium. And they either don't know or they don't care, but they'll tell you for potassium to eat a banana. Well, a potassium is a lousy way to get your it's a lousy way to get your potassium. What we want is potassium dense, nutrient low foods. And to get the potassium from bananas, to balance off the sodium in a daily diet in this nursing home, I'd have to eat about 10 bananas. And there'd be so many calories in that it would make me fat. Now, to be healthy, you have to be skinny, and that means you eat foods that have a lot of nutrients in it and not a lot of calories. And then you need to eat no phytic acid. I am going to stop this shortly and then make another one. I'm going to try and keep these shorter rather than making them long, because that seems to make them easier to upload and to produce. And later we'll put them together and make them better. But that's the breakfast. This is the lunch. We'll talk about that in the next video and continue speaking. If you pick this all up well, you're going to understand what we're talking about, and it will help you if you do it. Or if you don't do it, then you'll have these problems. And I don't know of any other way to solve them, but this way we'll solve them. Okay, I'm going to cut this short, 15 minutes, and I'll try to do the rest of them shorter. Thank you. Goodbye.